you want a certain kind of ice cream, and then they'll get the ice cream cone and put it up, and then like you'll try to take it from them, and then they'll switch it around and put it in your pocket, and then laugh at you and bring it back.
Wow.
They'll just play with you.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah, so it's just a different kind of
That's
culture.
neat.
You know,
Yeah. Different style of humor altogether. That would offend most Americans.
Certainly.
Oh, whoa.
Hey, what are you doing, man?
I don't know you. I don't know you.
Why are you clowning?
Right. Dude, can I just exchange some?
Why are you gesturing with me?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And did you embrace that?
Very much so.
Awesome. Cool.
Because that style of humor is something I knew from my dad.
Sure. Awesome.
You know, I grew up with this kind of Laurel and Hardy type humor where, you know, the Turks grew up watching stuff Americans had long since ceased watching.
Physical comedy.
Physical comedy, Laurel and Hardy, cowboy movies.
Awesome.
Older cartoons.
The classics.
So
the base.
Right. So and that's interesting in itself. They're importing stuff from America, but doing so, there's a gap there.
Very nice. Did you, in your relationship with this girl and other people around you, did you kind of take the kineticism of this street and kind of build it into your character while you were there?
Yeah.
At all? You did?
I do remember specifically at first being a little frightened at the speed that the cars traveled and just the fact that they almost never stopped.
Really?
Like even sometimes when there was a crosswalk, or always actually when there's a crosswalk, you wouldn't. In America, you would think the crosswalk would give you some kind of sanctity.
Yes. Pedestrians first.
Pedestrians
is
first.
The idea.
There's some kind of safety bubble.
Yeah.
That bubble is popped through and through.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
It's just run over
in the Mediterranean area. Yeah.
Cool.
They don't stop for that. And so I actually had to learn to walk in between the cars, in the lanes
as they move.
As they're moving.
It's scary. I've done that. Now we're talking about rather large highways here. We're talking 4, 5, 6.
I didn't do that. I saw people doing that.
It's scary.
It's scary. I'm talking.
Don't do it in the snow. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever done.
No. You did that?
One of the to Baskin Robbins on my friend's birthday. One of the most ridiculous things I've ever done.
In Russia.
Yeah.
Baskin Robbins.
It's just stupid.
Oh my god.
Totally not worth it. Yeah.
Anybody die?
No, I mean
it would not be the flavor of the day.
Yeah, no, I mean right. That is not a flavor worth. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. That was
So I mean I had to get more aggressive when walking the streets and just kind of walking out and assuming the car would stop, or just but not always waiting for the sign.
For your chance.
For the chance.
Right.
And just like not even worrying about what the sign said, but just looking back and forth, is there a car coming or not? And then totally basing my decision on whether to cross the street or not on that.
On that moment.
On that moment, is there a car coming or not? Not worrying about anything else.
Right.
Not signs, not crosswalks, none of that. And that's something I've actually translated into back to America when I went back down there where I work. There were a couple of stop walks that I could use. I could wait for the white pedestrian sign, but I don't. I just
prefer to J.
I J it.
Yeah.
I J it in diagonal fashion.
Okay.
Or I should go boo boo boo.
Right.
I go zoom.
Yeah. Exactly.
Zoom on up.
Awesome.
Sign in at an earlier time.
So this means you're living at a different pace when you're doing this, and you're taking things into account at the very present moment,
right?
As opposed to waiting for that moment to arise. This changes the pace of life. Pace is a huge reason that when I got to Little Rock when I was 16, I really did not like it. It was so slow. Now at 28 years of age, I love it. I love being this slow, and I anticipate going to SF and picking it back up. But it does change the way you operate. My friend, whom I've known throughout the many years, knew me in Moscow, and seeing me now, he likes me now because we're both kind of slow. He was always saying I was going too fast in Moscow. He was the type to hail a cab, where I was the one to just kind of book it. And so now we're more on an even keel, and I think the more I become more balanced, I think it's going to work out. But the point is, the pace of life, from my experience, affects your personal flow.
Yeah.
The way you operate, the way you speak, the way you walk, sometimes the way you think, because you need to be on edge. You need to have some pretty impressive reflexes established in order to avoid that present moment as you cross the street that did not work in your favor.
And also, more so, just walking around.
Yeah.
You're constantly being faced with just hundreds of people walking around you, and you have to kind of avoid them and meander through. Hell, I mean, we're talking about a boulevard that's about 20 feet wide. It's not 25 feet wide, and you know, just at 10 p.m. just almost chock full of people walking both ways.
Wow.
I remember a guy riding his bike through a mile of this, just meandering back and forth, and just weaving.
Meanwhile, things are moving.
Meanwhile, things are moving both ways.
He just makes it.
His mind was, he was in the video game.
Yeah,
he had his own Matrix moment going on there.
Yeah, congrats, big up.
Astounding.
That's neat.
Yeah,
that's neat. Well, very good. Do you think, you know, considering what you did you ever find yourself? Did you ever reflect when you were there on whether or not you were being American, per se? Or did you kind of, because you did kind of give in to learning their culture, you didn't give in, you embraced learning their style, their culture, you were a sponge?
I think a big part of that was just going in with already having you know, like being a citizen of the place to begin with.
Yeah.
Just a big head start. Like,
awesome.
Already I felt a part of, like, it felt like these were my people.
Awesome.
You know, because my father is one, and so that was you know, I think I had a different vibe when I met fellow Turks. Once they're like, oh, why are you learning Turkish? And then I would just have to say, Babam Turk, my father's Turkish.
Okay.
And that would provide a link automatically.
Awesome.
That's something that I don't think most Americans get the advantage of having.
No, definitely not.
But I probably would experience something like that if I were to go to some other country, like a Latino American country, and
perhaps
maybe something like that. But you know, it's nice to have that entryway. At the same time, I met an American woman over there who is also half Turkish, half American. But she grew up in America. And I remember talking to her, and she said, "Yeah, I've been in Turkey for like 4 or 5 years. I've been working professionally over here. She can speak both languages and go back and forth." But I met her at the really swank apartment of a guy who was working for the embassy over there, an American guy, really swank apartment, and there's just a bunch of like half and halves.
Oh, cool.
I met there. Yeah, I'd never been around so many.
That's neat.
It was interesting to me, but I remember she said, "I'm going back to America," and I said, "Oh, are you ready to go back and leave Turkey?" And she said, almost with like this resigned note in her voice, "Definitely."
Huh.
And I have since always held that in the back of my mind, is there's a inherent fear of straddling two cultures and never becoming part of one.
My wife is an Israeli, as an Israeli native, but having moved here kind of by force at the age of 8 or so. She feels this very much. And that's kind of what I was wondering. Did you ever feel you had to live down your American-ness because you were connected at the root, since your dad was Turkish? Did you ever feel that you had to live down your American-ness and maybe boost your Turkishness, or not? Because I know for her, it's a real thing where, you know, she comes here, she doesn't feel a part of things, so she has to downplay her Israeli-ness. And then she gets over to Israel, and she wants to be a part of things, but it's just so apparent that she's not, that she tries to downplay her Americanness and get more involved. And as a result, she's kind of fluctuating between two worlds that are both hers, but not entirely.
You know, I guess part of it is just kind of developing a shell of of egotism.
Okay.
Saying, I'm going to present myself to strangers a certain way, and until I realize that they're on my same wavelength, then I can put down the guard, and you know, I can be more intimate with them as far as, I mean, really what I'm all about.